A Maryland school district facing backlash over its policy that permits teachers to hide a student's gender identity from parents. Parents in that county took to Montgomery County Public Schools to court in 2020 over those policies, which permit teachers to affirm students in the opposite sex and keep the child's gender identity a secret from parents if the student requests it. The school's guidelines reading in part, information about a student's transgender status, legal name, or sex assigned at birth may constitute confidential medical information. Disclosing this information to other students, their parents, guardians, or third parties may violate privacy laws such as the Federal Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. Now, one woman now taking matters into her own hands is Dr. Erica Anderson. She's a transgender clinical psychologist based in Berkeley, California. Doctor, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate that. So, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but you filed a brief against the school district on this topic. Walk us through why you did that, what you're expecting, what you want to happen.
Thank you. Actually, I filed an amicus brief in U.S. Appeals Court. The plaintiffs have brought to the U.S. Appeals Court the matter because they feel that the judge that ruled against them did so in error. My interest is the well-being of children, all children, and I found some of the elements of this district policy quite objectionable. I've been speaking to lawyers around the country about other school districts that have had similar policies enforced. It's normal for children to experiment and explore gender issues, but to put a policy in place that allows the school district to withhold this information from parents is a bad idea. We've traditionally forged a working relationship between parents and teachers. That's the way it should be. And so when we deal with gender variant children, what we do know is that the children who do well and do not suffer significant psychological problems are those who have family support. To have a policy that deprives parents of the opportunity to support their children is a bad idea.
The amicus brief that you filed, what is the outcome that you see? When do you foresee some kind of response from the amicus brief?
Well, the appeals court, I think, is a multi-judge panel. And so whereas a single judge made a decision that we disagree with, now we'll have some independent judges evaluate the situation and weigh in. I'm not an attorney, but I'm advised by many attorneys with whom I've spoken that they don't think that the school districts who do this have good standing, in that there's a well-established precedent for many, many years, hundreds of years actually, favoring the interests of the child being overseen by parents, and parents having the authority to determine the health and well-being of their child and any interventions that are necessary. So I do think that it will be difficult for the school district to prevail, and I'm hopeful that the court will find in favor of the plaintiffs that the rightful role of parents is to oversee the health and well-being of their children, including everything that's going on at school. Certainly something so consequential as a gender transition.
Yeah, we'll continue to follow to see just how far this does have to go. Finally, I wanted to put this out there as well, if you're comfortable talking about it, but you transitioned yourself. And we talk about, thank you, we've talked about children. We're talking about children as young as first grade to decide gender. In elementary schools, we've had stories like this on. As someone who has went through transition, where do you stand on that argument? Is it too young? Is there an age range for this type of decision or parents getting involved? Talk to me about that.
So I am, as you know, a clinical psychologist for many years, more than 40. I've worked with many, many children and families, and I don't think there's a single age at which someone can or cannot understand their gender. People come to learn these things about themselves at all ages. I've worked with many gender variant, gender questioning, transgender children and their families and supported them. but to have the school do so without consultation with parents and without the involvement of an appropriate psychologist or gender specialist is really short-sighted in my view.
All right, we'll leave it there. Dr. Erica Anderson, thank you so much. We appreciate that, and we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
No crooked establishment.
None of that twisting the truth. No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax.
Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think.
They let
Let me decide.
Newsmax.
real news
For real people.